what do you think? New favorite superhero movie or? Come on.
Oh my goodness, no, definitely not. But we did get a few superhero origins here.
Yeah, they're all fucking mangled. Every single one of them is like incorrect in some way, shape, or form.
Oh my God, yeah, it's a bit of a travesty for sure. And it's hard because I fucking love the X-Men.
Everyone loves the X-Men, but with most people, your mileage varies for the movies, no?
Yeah, oh, definitely. I enjoyed the first X-Men movie, more of like seeing what I loved as a cartoon and as a comic come to life.
Yeah, they didn't botch that one.
Yeah, and that one was pretty good.
Yeah.
Since then, though, it has been rather difficult, most of the stuff that they put out.
Well, do you count the Deadpool movies as X-Men movies, though?
I have not seen them.
Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
I'm absolutely serious.
What are you talking about?
I know. I knew that was going to come up today, and I knew it was going to be a bit of a problem.
Well, here's the good news is you go watch those, and it will completely wash away the taste of this shit.
All right.
So you got that going for you.
So at least I can do that. I can go watch those and feel a little better about the Ryan Reynolds Deadpool character.
Gotta do it, man. You gotta do it. Welcome to Bad Movies and Beer. I'm Cooper.
And I'm Nolan.
And today, for our 150th episode, it turns out, kind of snuck up on us there.
Yeah, that came quick.
Yeah, we are discussing X-Men Origins Wolverine.
Oh, man. And this comes out several years after the first couple X-Men movies?
Yeah, this is 2009.
Okay.
And I believe those were in the late 90s, the first one.
Yeah, maybe, and then trickled into the 2000s.
They're going for a while.
And and this though is supposed to take place before all of those.
Yeah, it's the
events
origin,
happen, right? We're getting
of
the
Wolverine.
origin of Wolverine, and that story. It's been explained in comic, right? They've sourced a lot of material to kind of put this together.
Oh, God, yes. They have, source is a very generous way of putting it. They have pilfered, bungled, mangled many different comic storylines here, yeah.
So you know kind of how we're going to be feeling about this rather quickly into this episode, but we got something else we got to talk about before we get into all the juicy details.
We do, and that is the juicy beer we're going to be drinking today. As always, we have paired the movie up with a beer, and this one's an absolute layup. In many ways, I feel.
Yeah, this one is an easy connection. We are drinking the Wily Wolverine. This is from the good people at Balderdash Brewing Company. They're out of Vancouver, British Columbia. I have never had any of their stuff, but I've noticed they have like a sneaky weasel beer that I've seen around a lot lately.
That is apparently available now in the LCBO here in Ontario. It wasn't before, and actually one of our listeners pointed that out and recommended it to us to use it for a Pauly Shore movie, and I had to be like, oh shit, that's a great connection, but we're already using the other one for this, so.
Oh my good suggestion by that listener, but we're going to be drinking the Wily Wolverine today, and it is an 8%er.
Yeah, this is a strong lager. Now 30% feistier, the can says.
So this is definitely a good connection. Wolverine, we know, an incredibly feisty animal and character in the X-Men series. I'm going to read you something, though, from the Balderdash Brewing website because I think it's kind of fun. It says, as you gather by our naming approach, we don't take ourselves too seriously and are more about having fun in the beer biz than we are about making hot bombs and crazy add-ins. So I don't know. This sounds like it might be
alley.
an up your alley straightforward. Although 8%, this, I think, is probably going to be like a traditional strong ale. Like I almost picture like a strong European ale.
Oh, I think you're being generous. See, when I think of a beer that's above 5%, that's a like strong beer, I think of like Max Ice.
Oh, we're going like
Colt
old English here.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll
okay,
see.
so we're going to see. So this is going to be a bit of a powerful brew for a powerful character in the Marvel universe.
Yeah, I'm hoping the increased alcohol percentage can help erase some of the memories of this from me as we go through
It's
it.
going to be the adamantium
I wish we had
bullet.
more of these.
Yeah,
That's exactly
this
right.
fucking
Oh, man.
podcast. Yeah, let's do it. Let's
Yes,
crack
please.
into this.
So after the 21st Century Fox fanfare and Marvel Studios graphic, we faded on the Northwest Territories in Canada, 1845. A sick boy lies sweating in bed while a far more serious boy glares at him from across the room. Now, knowing a bit about this movie ahead of time, it was immediately obvious that these two were going to grow up to be Wolverine and Sabretooth, but just to remove any doubt, a man enters the room and addresses them by their names, James and Victor respectively. And my first thought upon seeing him was they actually did a really good job finding someone who kind of looks like Hugh Jackman to play young James's father. But it turns out he isn't actually his father at all. That'd be the guy who looks kind of like Liev Schreiber we meet in a moment. So why bother casting this guy? They could have put fucking Gary Busey in there for all it mattered.
Yeah, I don't know what the point was to having this guy here. I guess the casting director really just wanted to make the connections between these children very obvious.
Oh, it is very obvious, and the guy spells it all out for us here in a second when he shows up drunk shouting. We hear the sound of a gunshot, which causes young James to run downstairs, where he finds his presumed father murdered. Now, the fit of rage this causes triggers his mutation, and we see claws extend out from his hands for the very first time. They're bone, though, since he hasn't undergone any adamantium fusion yet, so they look kind of like spooky skeleton fingers. Now, I wish I could tell you they also look realistic, but not so much. And speaking of unrealistic, how about the sequence we get of young James charging at this guy and impaling him?
Oh, yeah, it's a lot here. The bone claws, I actually think, emerge and look better than the adamantium ones we get later. We're going to, I'm sure, talk a lot about how poor those look.
Yeah.
They do... Like you said, to me, they kind of look like magic wands. They look like wands coming out of his hand. We get a really poorly acted primal scream and rage here. We're also getting a lot of funky camera shots.
Yes.
They're really trying to add emotion through distraction with camera angles and things. So we get a weird close-up on this kid as he freaks out, grows these bone claws, and charges at the man who has killed his supposed father. What happens when he gets up to his Victor, his friend's dad?
Well, he fucking runs him through, and then the guy kind of mutters to him that he was trying to tell him the truth or something, or that guy's not really father. I am. He calls him son, and then, long story short, young James has just murdered his biological father, who he incorrectly assumed had murdered his biological father. Irony? I don't know.
He had murdered who was, in essence, his real father, though, right?
So, but he thought that guy killed his real father.
And so he killed his own father. They are really starting it out dark here for Wolverine, right?
Dark and, so densely layered.
Well, and the reaction of the mom when he does this just seems like... I don't know how to describe it. She is angry at the kid for killing the man who
she's lost both of her gentleman lovers.
I guess so. Yeah. So she's pissed at her own son for ending the one who just murdered her other lover. I don't know. She seemed to turn on him. It more seemed to me like she was disgusted at his mutation.
Oh, that's very possible.
Right,
too.
And we're getting that in there right away. Like that's starting to form up. What does little James do after his mom shuns him and he's murdered his biological father and seen his adopted father die?
Well, yeah, the whole hating on mutants thing definitely is part of that story. And perhaps being confronted with his mother's own disgust at seeing her son mutate, young James runs off into the woods like some kind of furry animal. I don't know, it'll come to me. Anyway, he doesn't get far, though, as he's quickly run down and tackled by young Victor and his terrible acting. He tells him...
We're brothers, Jimmy. You realize that? Brothers protect each other. You have to be hard now. Hard so nothing can ever touch us.
Hard to watch is how I'm feeling about this.
Oh, this acting is atrocious.
Yeah, it's not good. And it gets harder to watch things once we transition to that trippy credit sequence that sees us follow the now grown-up brothers through every major war in American history.
Oh my goodness. They're demolishing people through the Civil War, World War I, World War II, Vietnam. And it's in Vietnam where things start to take a bit of a turn here, right? One brother starts to enjoy the killing too much, and the other decides that they've done enough of it.
Well, yeah, we do see in the course of winning all these wars, Victor gradually becoming more and more aggressive, something which does eventually boil over in Vietnam. After firing way more bullets than was necessary into a village, Victor exits a helicopter and grabs a Vietnamese woman with what are presumably very bad intentions. A senior officer tries to intervene and gets killed by Victor for his troubles, and after James races to his brother's side in the ensuing scuffle, the two of them are sentenced to death by firing squad. Swing and a miss there, military police. Why do they think this would work? They've seen these guys get shot hundreds of times and be fine.
That's a good point. I didn't think about that. I just assumed that this was a different crew of people who didn't understand. I think they probably just changed who they were working with over these conflicts, so people didn't know they were the same people who never aged and never died. But you're right. They both get shot and survive being shot by the firing squad, and they are sitting in a little prison when they are approached by who we must assume is a very important military figure.
Yeah, and also who we can safely assume will be the big bad guy of this movie.
Yeah.
The next day, the brothers, who are obviously still very much alive, are visited in their cell by Major William Stryker, who offers them the chance to stop running and embrace their genetic gifts as part of an elite unit he's assembling. And before you can say wasted opportunity, we're on a plane with that elite unit weeks, months, or years in the future. This is a mishmash of X-Men universe side characters whose quality varies wildly here. The highlight almost certainly being Ryan Reynolds' first appearance as Wade Wilson, but this is a very watered-down version of the R-rated gloriousness we'd get nearly a decade later.
You know, I love this weapon more than any other thing in the whole wide world. You want to know why? It's memorable. You whip out a couple of swords at your ex-girlfriend's wedding, they will never, ever forget it.
That's funny, Wade. I think you confuse me with someone who gives a shit.
Granted, it's probably not as intimidating as having a gun or bone claws or the fingernails of a bag lady.
I mean, he's trying, but they're not giving him much room to work.
Yeah, it's a little rough here. This X team, I think they're called.
Is that what they're called?
Yeah, they're
I don't
called
know
the
that name.
X team. Is an interesting collection of people. Kind of happy to see Ryan Reynolds pre-Deadpool. Like, he does add a bit of entertainment.
Keyword there is a bit.
Yeah, not
we
a
get
ton.
Like 3 minutes with them or something.
We
It's
get
ridiculous.
a character named Fred who's going to turn out to be the Blob.
Yep.
We get
Only he's jacked but not fat.
yes.
Yeah.
Well, they rectify that later. And,
Oh, yeah, that's fair.
And then we get the guy from the Black Eyed Peas.
Oh, fuck, dude. Yeah.
What the hell?
Oh, I don't know. This
Like,
borderline infuriated me.
Yeah, things are going downhill here. We do get Zero, who is another Canadian superhero, which I guess kind of a little bit excited
Oh,
about.
I thought he was Asian.
He is Asian, but he's from Canada.
Well, good to know. Yeah, and we get to see this unit in action now as they storm what is presumably some sort of crime syndicate headquarters. It kind of reminded me of Simon Phoenix's hideout at the start of Demolition Man, only with way more random guards that get murdered in ridiculous ways. Zero, that dude we were talking about a second ago, shoots like 60 of them while flipping all over the place. Then Ryan Reynolds uses his katanas to deflect literally hundreds of bullets in ways that send them back towards the guys who shot them. Meanwhile, Charlie from Lost can control elevators with his mind, and that big dummy who's supposed to be the Blob blows up a tank by clogging the cannon with his arm. And here in my notes, it just says, "What the fuck is this shit?"
It's pretty fucking ridiculous, this X team. I almost forgot about Charlie, or I had him labeled as the Hobbit.
Okay, yeah, Lord of the Rings, that's fair.
Because he also he played Pippin, I think, in those movies. So he can control electricity.
Technology, isn't it? Or is it anything electrical?
It's anything electrical. I
Okay.
think he can control with his mind. So we're getting all these interesting like mutant powers. I'm curious why they're together and what's happening here. We know that probably Stryker doesn't have great motives, and we're going to find out that they're here looking for a space rock.
Yeah, it turns out this crime boss and the presumably stolen diamonds he's selling weren't the target of this raid. Instead, Stryker is there to inquire about a hunk of not so mysterious silver metal the boss has on his desk. He wants to know exactly where to find it, and he doesn't care how many people he has to kill to get it. Victor and the rest of the team are pretty happy to go along with this, but as we see in our next scene, James has pretty much lost his appetite for senseless death. After Victor flashes more bloodlust in another of his long line of rage-outs, James decided enough is enough and walks away, disgustedly throwing down his dog tags to hammer the point home. And I don't mind telling you, Will.i.am does not look happy about it. He's easily top 3 most upset with this turn of events.
Which the senseless murder of people to find space adamantium, or the fact that Wolverine is quitting the team here?
He looks like he's glaring at, maybe he's jealous. Maybe he's jealous that James has had the courage to leave the team, because he ends up leaving later himself, we find out.
And he does tell us he leaves
mad.
pretty quickly after this. So I think, maybe he is jealous that he's walking away. It's hard, though. Do we think special teams like this are going to allow people to move on with their lives? I just don't know whether that is something that is likely to happen.
I had that thought too, and yet 6 years later, we're back in Canada, where we find James in a loving relationship, living in nature's splendor, and filling his days with one of the oldest and noblest Canadian pursuits. He's jacking it, Noel. Lumberjacking it, that is.
Oh my
And if a lifetime
God.
of watching action movies has taught me
my
anything,
God,
it's
yes.
that absolutely nothing is going to come along and shatter the idyllic life he's built for himself.
Holy fuck. when the camera zooms in on a topless Hugh Jackman at the top of a mountain.
You're welcome, ladies.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Hugh Jackman in this role is shirtless or clothesless a lot, and certainly a wetter of a man.
Probably launched a few boners as well.
He's a quadruple threat, right? Like, he is a singer, he's a dancer, he's an actor, and he pennies better than left.
Jesus Christ. Don't forget about guys who like guys. He's probably
that's true.
I'm sure
Yeah.
because as you mentioned, singer and dancer too. That's not the stereotype, but
That
they're
seems appealing
traits if you're
to lots of people.
yeah.
I mean, so you're telling me he's not going to just get to live his life out being a lumberjack in the mountains of Canada with this beautiful shack on top of a mountain with a beautiful woman at his side who is a school teacher just doing everything to make the lives of this community better.
Yeah, if you can believe it, this is absolutely going to be shattered mere moments from now. After a brief detour to the carnival where we see Victor murder Charlie from Lost, I guess we didn't really see it, but we hear his painful screams as all the lights go out, metaphor. We cut to James's timber yard where William Stryker suddenly appears with a warning. Someone is targeting the old team. Now, he wants James to come with him ostensibly for protection, but it's pretty clear after this exchange that he's got other motives as well.
This is not about you, Logan. Your country needs you. I'm Canadian.
Let's see. Lumberjack wearing flannel and denim can sense danger in the woods. This guy's Canadian, all right. Yeah.
He knows what's coming. Yeah. They are definitely playing on some of those Canadian stereotypes. I mean, I think it's Wolverine powers, his super smell senses that are going to let him know that some bad shit's about to go down, though.
Well, yeah, I mentioned sensing danger after a couple of scenes meant to show us exactly how meaningful the relationship with his girlfriend is to him. One where she helps him navigate a potentially violent situation without losing his temper, and another where they share a tender moment by the fire. James is cutting down trees when something causes him to pause before turning and running off into the woods at top speed. We see why this happened immediately, as a menacing figure standing in the middle of the road causes James's lady to stop her car. It's Victor, of course, and the last thing we see before cutting away is him approaching the car with claws out, running them along the hood and causing significant damage that I have to assume insurance won't cover.
You don't think saber-tooth scratches are something that are covered by insurance?
Most people's plans probably do not contain a feral mutant scratched my car proviso.
I think that is probably the last thing that Logan or Wolverine or James is concerned about right now. He doesn't give a shit about his crappy truck car thing.
I gotta get this to a body shop. I'm just not worried about that.
Right now, he's upset because he's about to find the head of a dead Wolverine near him at his logging camp, and he's going to know that something's up. You did describe that they had spent some time building their relationship, and you're right, they had a few different scenes, and what must have been felt by the screenwriters as like a winning like fist bump kind of scene is where they tell the story of the moon.
Oh,
and
fuck. That was what they did by the fire, yeah.
Yeah, and it's fucking Wolverine. Like, this is where they are giving him a, like, traditional, I think, like, indigenous story.
It's an old indigenous story that, like, the moon is lonely because she had a lover and it was a Wolverine, and it's like someone got tricked somehow.
Trickster came to Earth
yeah.
and they could never be together again.
They bring this back later at the end, too.
They think that this has a huge payoff, but this is where they're giving us the Wolverine thing, but you know, I don't know.
Well, speaking of Wolverine things, after finding the love of his life dead and letting out a rage-filled roar, James immediately tracks Victor to a bar next to the timber yard, and they start going at it. This fight is insanely frenetic with all kinds of quick cuts and jerky camera movements, and it ends with a double dose of CG as Victor first dumps a bunch of logs on James and then throws him into a moving truck. This is after they both claw each other multiple times, of course, in what has to be the single least exciting cat fight I've ever seen.
Not nearly as good as the one from Coffee, is that?
Oh my God, not even close. Are you kidding me? Those ladies knew how to fight.
Yeah, it's true. This it's to be honest, not a lot of a fight. It's not very closely matched. I find actually almost all the fights in this, there's one person dominating the other people. And in here, this is Sabretooth's battle for sure. He just kicks the shit out of Wolverine in these battles. He drops those logs on him. He throws him into a moving truck. And in the end, I think he even stomps on his bone claws before walking away.
He breaks them off.
Yeah.
They're like on a railroad track or something. And he just snaps off. Only one hand, though. He's still got the other one.
Yeah. So he's obviously in a bad way. We hear sirens coming. The people at the bar must have called the authorities, and we transition to Logan or James waking up in the hospital. The doctors are confused, though, because they're expecting a bunch of stab wounds based on the descriptions of what happened, but he's there, and who else is there? Stryker, of course.
Oh, yeah, and that is not going to do anything to improve James's temper when he wakes up. He is filled with even more rage than before, as he correctly assumes that Stryker knew Victor was the one targeting the team and that he was just trying to save his own ass by coming there and warning James. Stryker deflects this by telling him that he can't beat Victor on his own, and that in fact the only way James will ever be able to get revenge for the death of his lady is by undergoing what is admittedly an incredible painful procedure. But if Stryker thinks pain is going to stop him, he doesn't know who he's talking to.
I come with you. I'm coming for blood. No law. No code of conduct. You point me in the right direction, you get the hell out of my way.
Damn, they might as well just stamp Wolverine on this guy's chest, huh?
They're about to.
Yeah.
Oh my God. And correct me if I'm wrong, but this does, like, not the like dead girlfriend thing, but the getting the adamantium put into him because of his super healing powers is a part of his origin stories.
Yeah, but this motivation is, I don't believe he volunteers for it in the comics. I believe they just like have him and subject him to this.
Yeah, they trapped him into it. And is it Stryker in the comics still?
It is.
Yeah, that's
wait, is it?
Like Stryker
Yes,
is
I
kind of
believe so.
always the bad guy who is trying to like use science and experiments on mutants to do it for the US government, I think, right?
I thought, no, in the comics, I think he's like a minister. He's like an anti-mutant minister who is like...
Oh, okay.
But maybe he's also a military guy? I don't remember. I remember the very famous story because he has a, spoiler alert, he has a son who is a mutant and this causes like whatever. So he turned to like a crusader against mutant, which I guess this guy does too.
Yeah.
But in the comics, it is from a religious point of view.
Not a government perspective.
But he may also have like, maybe he was in the military before, but I don't know if he's actually the Wolverine guy in the comics or not.
Okay, but he does, he ends up, Logan or James gets taken and they put adamantium into him. When they bring him to this place, the facility he's in is like hidden behind a waterfall on some kind of ridiculous cliff. They fly him in on a helicopter. The amount of money they must have spent to take ridiculous shots in this film is incredible.
Oh, of like the place where they do the adamantium and stuff?
Yeah, they're just constantly taking shots from the air in this. The budget for flying and shooting,
a lot of helicopter and crane stuff.
Yeah, you're like, oh my God. So they've taken him to this hidden facility. They again tell him this is going to hurt like a bitch, and then they put him into a tub. We get some kind of garbage technology stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, you're not wrong. This is obviously the most well-known part of Wolverine's origin story, with a few key differences from the comics, and yes, questionable effects, I would say, for some of this. Here's one difference. Stryker mentions taking his DNA and using it for another experiment, and they also aren't successful in erasing his memory. Far from it, in fact. But despite this, the sequence ends the way we all knew it would, with a naked Hugh Jackman jumping off a waterfall, Harrison Ford in The Fugitive style. And much like Harrison Ford in The Fugitive, he also didn't kill his wife. You find that man.
Oh my goodness, yeah. I think naked Hugh Jackman has probably created a lot of waterfalls in his life, but jumped off that many, I'm not sure. But yeah, it's a pretty dramatic moment in the film here. He does kind of slice his way out of the tank, and he does overhear Stryker saying he wants his memory erased. So he knows that this has kind of been a trick on him this whole time.
Yeah, and he doesn't want to lose the memory of that lady.
Well, yeah, he needs to have the reason why he's going to get his revenge, and he's going to take his revenge both on his brother and on Stryker. At least that's the plan. But he does, of course, survive the jump off the waterfall, the swim to shore, and then the running through fields and woods. Where do we transition from that naked man jumping off, creating waterfalls?
We transition to a nearby farm where an elderly couple finds that naked man in their barn and invites him in for a hot meal, some fresh clothes, and an oddly out-of-place sequence of slapstick claw comedy. Clawmedy?
I gotta go back to... Hold on, I'm interrupting you. This clawmedy fucking scene is atrocious.
It comes out of nowhere. Tonally, it's so different from it. He just had like... His girlfriend's been murdered. His former boss like betrayed him and tried to erase his memory. He's literally on the run like he was when he's a kid. And we transitioned to him like slicing up a sink in the bathroom by accident. It's so weird.
We get kind of his first origin of him taking out and like looking at these new adamantium claws, and holy fuck is the graphic terrible.
Yeah,
the effect of the claw looks nothing like real metal. There's no reflection off of it. It is way worse than all of the other movies that they've already made with Wolverine in it.
Yeah, it does seem like a downgrade compared to the
They cut the budget or something on it, and then they add this terrible slapstick, like he cuts through shit by accident. It's not like he hadn't had claws before this, or
Well,
not
no, but
known
before
how to
they
do
would have
it?
just like clacked off the sink because they were bone. Now they slice through it like a hot knife through
I can't
butter.
believe you're even defending this a little bit, because this scene is
that
unnecessary.
Part,
and
I agree,
atrocious.
but the part about the claws cutting stuff makes sense. Of course, the scene is unnecessary. It comes out of nowhere and does not fit anything that came before it or after it, really.
Yeah,
but it makes sense that metal claws would do stuff the bone claws would.
But yeah, we get this sort of like heartfelt moment where he comes down and apologizes, says he's going to pay for it. They feed him and tell him he has to sleep in the barn because they don't want him destroying the rest of the house. And then the next morning, he's given a motorcycle jacket. It used to be
and a motorcycle.
And yeah, well, he's not really given that until it's necessary.
It's a sweet jacket, though.
Yeah,
it looks very like
he wears it in the other movies.
There you go. That
right?
explains
So
it.
this is where they're connecting it. It's the jacket he's wearing in the other X-Men movies.
It's also the origin of that jacket.
Yeah, well, they're doing a lot of origins in this motherfucker.
Yeah.
This feels very much like a Superman moment for me.
I actually
weird, right?
I'm like, we're getting Smallville vibes
Yes,
now.
yeah,
Yes.
like they were just, and I know like different DC, Marvel, but like they borrow from each other. We're
that shit's all the same.
We're getting a feeling of this. Or you're just trying to rile the nerds if you're saying that.
No, it is. Batman and Iron Man are the same fucking guy.
Yeah.
Anyway, Wolverine's about ready to hit the old dusty trail the next morning when Zero from Stryker's team shows up and murders that old couple. This launches us into another CG-filled action sequence as Wolverine races into battle on his new motorcycle, carving up at least one military truck before bringing down Zero's helicopter. Dude is barely clinging to life as Stryker frantically radios him for a status update, but Wolverine grabs the headset and tells Stryker that after Victor, he's next. And then, in a sequence that was so unbelievably on the nose that it made me laugh out loud, Wolverine sparks a trail of spilled helicopter fuel with his metal claws and walks towards the camera in slow motion as the helicopter explodes behind him. If he had put on sunglasses right after this happened, I would have fucking died.
I fucking hated this
Come
sequence.
on. It's fucking amazing.
Oh my God. It was so bad. I was so grumpy at all of this. The fucking chase with the motorcycle, the two military Hummers, and the helicopter is bullshit. The only reason he is able to take down the helicopter is because he has jumped onto one of the Hummers. The rockets from the helicopter explode the Hummer, and somehow he launches himself off it into the air, cuts the blades of the helicopter before attaching himself to it when it goes down. It is cheeky that he uses his claws to spark and light something on fire, which ends up destroying or killing Zero. I hated the explosion behind him.
I mean, this is just, we've seen this so many times, both done seriously, but it becomes so overplayed that it becomes a joke. And then also in parody stuff. What's the fucking CSI music?
Yes.
I'm telling you.
Yeah, it's
sunglasses,
playing in the
you hit that
background.
musical cue, I would have fucking died laughing.
But it does seem like they are doing this as tongue-in-cheek. Like,
I disagree completely.
Well, no, they didn't.
This is
they
a serious
didn't.
big moment.
They didn't, but they should have, because this movie is such a weird balance of like crappy comedy and action that it feels like this would have been better if they laughed at themselves here.
I think you just don't include it at all because it's just been done so many times that it becomes, again, it was like laughable. One of the only times I laughed was this right here.
I wrote in my notes that it was preposterously arrogant on the filmmakers to do this.
Okay.
Like, it just felt so unnecessary, and that they were going to just explode something because they could.
Sure. I won't. You will get no argument from me. Not like with the claws in the bathroom. That's totally different. No, Stryker is reeling a bit here, but he's still got a couple of tricks up his sleeve. For starters, there's some adamantium bullets that his chief scientist tells him are the only way to kill Wolverine. And then there's a certain young mutant, one that he's been trying to locate for a while. And wouldn't you know it, they just found him. Now, rather than let that simmer for a bit, build suspense or anticipation, we immediately cut to a high school classroom and a teacher who says,
Summers, sit up and take off those glasses.
So yeah, it's Cyclops. We're getting a Cyclops cameo. Hugh Jackman said this in an interview once, and I totally get where he's coming from. This seems less like a standalone Wolverine movie and more like X-Men 4.
Oh, absolutely. They're just trying to origin or bring as many characters in as possible. Like, when we cut to that X-Team helicopter, I was just like, what the fuck is happening here? Why are there so many people? And they just keep doing it throughout the movie.
Yeah.
No, it absolutely just feels like it is a continuation of the X-Men series, but that they had like run out of material to continue the story. So let's go back to the start and do some prequel stuff here.
Yeah, that or they thought that like, okay, well, our story is bullshit, so let's just have a bunch of people show up as a surprise and then the audience get excited because it's like, oh, it's that person. Oh, it's that person.
I mean, and in some ways that works. I guess
I was going to say, this will come up when we get to our ratings. I think
in
it's
some ways that made this more palatable than the actual story, I guess. So I guess I was a huge X-Men fan. My favorite characters.
Past tense?
Well, no, I am. But
this turned you on it.
No, it didn't turn me on it. But like thinking back to the cartoon in particular, it was always for me Gambit, Wolverine, and Cyclops were the three characters that I like connected with most. Beast probably being the fourth. And those were the like ones that I always like cheered for the most or wanted to see in those episodes. And so having 3 of the 4 show up here was fairly like interesting and exciting for me. And I actually think that we'll get to it shortly, but the Gambit character is the one that is actually done quite well here, and I wish showed up in other parts of the
that's
universe.
interesting. Yeah, okay, we'll talk about that.
It there.
Well, yes, we have strong X-Men 4 vibes that we both just agreed on. And I'll tell you what will not help that. The next scene we get where Wolverine checks on Will.i.am and ends up going 12 rounds with the Blob. It's more like one round of the worst combination of fat jokes and slapstick that you will ever see. We find out before they start sparring the Blob is fat now, like in the comics, but not because of his mutation. Will.i.am tells us that he developed an eating disorder after all the bad stuff Stryker's team did. Anyway, this scene ends with Wolverine's claws poking out of a boxing glove as he demands to know where Victor is. And fuck, dude, 30 seconds in, I was sure that Will.i.am's acting would be the worst part of the sequence, and I was very, very wrong.
It is a very poor sequence. I was not happy to see Will.i.am back. I still don't even know what his skill is here, I don't think.
Teleporter.
I know, he ends up being able to teleport all over the place. And I don't know if I had seen that before. The fight is terrible. It's a headbutt that, like with a new adamantium skull that sends the Blob kind of reeling, followed by an elbow to the head that sends him down. We find out here, though, that the big news, the secret that was being held by the Blob or the Fred character is that Stryker and Victor are working together.
Yeah, they're in cahoots.
Yes, and so Logan or Wolverine is finding out that he was kind of played all through that process. It was Stryker tricking him to get that adamantium in him so he could kill his brother, even though Stryker's working with his brother. His brother is his goon. He's the one collecting all these mutants and bringing them back to be tested on the island. But we're not sure where the island is yet.
No, that's right. They're rounding up mutants and imprisoning them on some islands so Stryker can run more experiments on them. We find this out after the two of them grab Cyclops from his high school and the Blob spills the beans, not literally, thank God. He did not know where the island was, but rumors are there's a mutant who managed to escape from there and might know the way back. Cajun boy, name of Remy LeBeau. So not only are we getting the first movie appearance of Deadpool, we're also getting Gambit. And I have to say, not terrible. I mean, the Cajun accent on Gambit is pretty weak, and I could have done without him using his bow staff to float down from an apartment like goddamn Mary Poppins. But other than that, not bad.
I actually really like the first time, and we're gonna get to it shortly when we meet him.
You got it right now, pretty much.
When he empowers the card for the first time and sends that sort of electric magic through, I enjoyed it. I didn't understand. Well, yeah.
Did you like it when he charged up the whole deck of cards? And they were floating through the air.
Yeah,
that's not a thing he can fucking do.
It was fucking sweet. I love that. He does do that with more than one
card.
card.
The whole thing at once in like a weird like.
He
arch?
does. No,
come on.
He did do that in the
cartoon.
In the cartoon, he definitely did
man.
that. He definitely electrified several cards and then was able to send them one at a time.
All right. Well, we're on the same page in that overall the president is enjoyable.
Cool
yes.
inclusion.
Okay. Now, after quickly finding Gambit in New Orleans, Wolverine also finds Victor, who's fresh off of killing Will.i.am. He immediately tries to settle their old score, but Gambit, believing that Wolverine is working for Stryker because he's still wearing his old dog tags, attacks him, which allows Victor to escape. This misunderstanding gets sorted out in short order, and before you know it, Gambit is dropping Wolverine off at Stryker's island. Literally, as he flies his plane in low so Wolverine can jump out. You know, just like in the comics. Remember Gambit's trademark airplane?
That was kind of weird. He says he wins it in a card game.
Some bullshit.
And you can believe that, but this is very convenient.
Yeah.
Apparently they're on 3 Mile Island, which is a nuclear facility. So they're hiding it under there because nobody wants to go near the nuclear facility. I do actually like that when he jumps out of the plane, he's like, this is going to hurt a lot. And you just see him bounce like a fucking
skipping
stone.
along.
He's skipping along there. Like, that moment was actually well done with whatever CG or technique they used. I thought that was enjoyable. So he skips along and Gambit flies off. And now Wolverine is going to go to this island where he knows his brother and Colonel Stryker are doing crazy experiments on mutants. And he's going to try to get his revenge.
He is, but while that's happening, Stryker is attempting to finalize his plans. He's getting some pushback from his superiors, though, as a general has discovered that Stryker's son was born a mutant and that child's power led to the death of his mother, who, of course, was Stryker's wife. Now, this is obviously a pretty massive conflict of interest, and that, coupled with Stryker's questionable methods and high body count, is enough for the general to pull the plug on this whole project. Stryker is way too far gone to let that happen, though, and he lets the general know it in no uncertain terms.
You're right. I won't lie to you. My son did bring the problem home for me. But I took an oath to protect the American people from every threat, both foreign and domestic.
Another superior officer bites the dust. They still have that firing squad or what?
Well, we're going to find out at the end that this might come back to Stryker, or we'll see if it does. He does kill the commanding officer here because he has caught on to him and wants to shut down this facility. He tells him that Weapon 11 is the last, right?
Yeah, I guess Weapon X, the X is actually a 10, which is true in the comics as well.
Yeah. So Weapon X was Wolverine. Weapon 11 is now Deadpool.
That's the reveal we get in a second.
We're about to get this. And he is the ultimate weapon because he's got the healing power of Wolverine. He's got the, transporting powers of the Will.I.Am character.
Yeah. He's got all that shit.
Does Deadpool have that?
No.
Generally? No, that's what I thought.
No,
this is weird shit.
Not at all.
They have really fucked... He does have Wolverine's healing power.
He has his own healing power.
No. The Deadpool origin is they used Wolverine to give him the healing power. He doesn't originally have it.
Okay, maybe.
I searched this up after. So
all right.
This is... The internet tells me this is where he gets it. So at least
the rest of it is bullshit, though.
But the rest is bullshit, which is why I'm angry at a lot of what is about to come.
And we find out not only what is about to come, but what has come before, as Wolverine makes his way to the lab, and Stryker gives him and us the full James Bond treatment, meticulously laying out his plan and all the steps it took to get here. Steps like rounding up mutants to harness their powers, we already knew that, then combining their powers into that ultimate weapon known as Deadpool, which is complete nonsense. But Stryker also reveals that he faked the death of Wolverine's girlfriend by injecting her with a chemical that would slow her heart rate, then dumping a bunch of fake blood on her. And she's also a mutant and was in on the plan, which is even more nonsense than everything else we've seen and heard. Or maybe she wasn't in on the plan and their love is real, and he's just threatening her into going along with it instead of just killing her however many years ago, which clearly would have had the same effect and brought us to this point like we thought it did in the first place. Fuck me, could this story get any more convoluted?
I mean... So they're making Stryker a giant jagoff here, and I like that you've compared him to a Bond villain, revealing everything. This is
what he does. He explains everything.
We get the girlfriend's name for the first time here. She's been on screen a whole bunch, but it's Kylie or Kylie, I don't know, some bullshit. She, as you said, is a mutant, and she can use powers to touch people and convince them.
He says that, but we don't find out for sure until later.
Well, no, because we saw her use her powers when she stopped a conflict between...
Oh, you know what? I'm just now realizing that's what happened.
Yeah, she used her powers earlier. We knew she was a mutant early, which...
I didn't know that.
Well, it made me question whether she was a mole or not when that happened. Because I saw...
Wow, you were way more intently focused on this than I was.
I was watching this shit, so... But what I didn't know right now was, they're making it unclear whether...
The love was real.
She loves him, or the love was there. But it does feel like the love is there. She was a mole, kind of.
She almost says something, and Stryker kind of flashes his gun at her, and she stops, and
we find out that the reason she's going along is because one of the prisoners in here is her sister.
Yeah.
Her sister is also a mutant, and so she's going along with this plan to try to get her sister back. And Logan is hearing all this shit, and he's like, fuck all of this. And he just sort of walks away. He's like, I'm done with this bullshit.
He literally walks away. He says he'll never love again, then just strolls out of the base. Stryker just lets him fucking leave, which Victor does not care for. He demands that Stryker give him the same adamantium treatment that Wolverine got. And when the answer is no, he grabs this lady and threatens to kill her for real this time. And despite giving up on love mere moments ago, her scream causes Wolverine to run right back into the lab for another herky-jerky fight scene. He wins this one and is about to deliver the kill strike to Victor, but his ex-lady tells him that despite what he feels, he's not an animal. And all I could think of here was, what a big moment this isn't at all.
That's fair. This is the complete opposite of the fight we got before between Sabretooth and Wolverine. It's not even close. It's just Wolverine constantly kicking the shit out of his brother. And Logan or James could have killed Victor here, but he decides not to, with his girlfriend or whatever her name is telling him that he shouldn't be. And like you said, I don't give a fuck.
Yep.
The whole time, I'm asking myself, how do I build arms like Hugh Jackman here? Because they're massive. Like, he just looks absolutely jacked. Of course, he's like topless again, or at least his arm sleeves are cut off. And I'm like, holy shit.
Hugh Jacked Man is more like
he
it.
absolutely is in this movie. And that is maybe for both genders the best part of this whole film is just how much Hugh Jackman has his shirt off.
I didn't mind it.
Yeah. No. And now it's time to activate Weapon 11.
Yeah, after not killing Victor and having his faith and love restored, Wolverine frees the many imprisoned mutants and heads for the exit, hand in hand with his former and perhaps future girlfriend. But of course, there is no way we're getting out of here without seeing Weapon 11 in action, and this is where we get the notorious Deadpool reveal.
Wait, is that you? Stryker finally figured out how to shut you up.
Calling this much derided would be like calling the sun a little warm. This thing is a fucking monstrosity that not only wastes the talents of Ryan Reynolds, it completely shits all over the character of Deadpool, X-Men comics, and comic movies in general. He's basically got all the powers of Wolverine, Cyclops, and Nightcrawler anyway, or Will.i.am's character, whatever the fuck. And so we're treated to a 5-minute CG fight scene where he's teleporting all over the place, flailing his katana arms, and shooting eye lasers at Wolverine and Victor, who inexplicably shows up to save his brother because, and I quote, "Nobody kills you but me." Only he doesn't kill him despite having multiple chances. Do you want to try and defend any of this horse shit, or?
No, this fight could have been amazing, and it's fucking terrible.
I don't think it could have been amazing. Maybe if it was like actual Deadpool and not whatever the fuck this thing is.
Well, whatever this Deadpool is
this
really
Frankenstein
bad.
monster of bad ideas.
Wolverine here has let loose all the mutants as they're trying to get out, and they're trying to escape, and Deadpool shows up to stop them. But they take the battle to the top of a fucking nuclear reactor.
Yeah, they're on like the smokestack. Like
they climb all the way to the top of the stack, and then we get just the worst teleportation effects as Deadpool's coming in and out of reality, sending his blades around. And he does dominate, of course, Wolverine, because he can teleport, pop in and out, and is ready to decapitate him when, like you said, Sabretooth saves him. And then we get the two of them kind of battling together like they did through every war in history. And then and then we get a moment where the Cyclops eyes heat up the adamantium claws of Wolverine, and he uses those fucking like 1,000,000-degree super sharp metal claws to cut the head off of Deadpool.
And then kicks the lifeless fucking corpse into the
down
smokestack.
Into the smokestack. But the head, still shooting lasers, cuts circles around the smokestack so that it eventually all crumbles and falls. And it is beyond bullshit. Like, the whole thing is not fun. What it reminded me of is Superman versus Batman battle, where they're just like crashing through buildings.
Oh, wait, Superman versus Batman or Superman versus General Zod?
Oh, maybe it was, that's exactly what it was. It was Superman versus General Zod, where they have that moment where they're just crashing through building and building.
It looks like just a cartoon bullshit.
Yeah, it's just absolutely not interesting. They've taken the powers of CG and like...
They've gone too far.
Yeah.
They've gone too far because they wanted to show this for whatever fucking reason. You didn't need to show, and we did not need the giant smokestack collapsing from a cylindrical, I can't talk, thing of I-beams, cutting it into a million pieces. Fucking stupid. But yes, when the dust settles here, the worst iteration of Deadpool imaginable is dead. The young mutants have all escaped, and Gambit saves Wolverine from having half of that giant smokestack fall on him. So it looks like we're headed for a happy ending. Only it turns out Wolverine's lady got badly injured during all the action and she might not make it. She tells him she loves him though, and he swears he'll get her some help, but right then Stryker shows up with the adamantium bullets, looking to erase Wolverine's memory the old-fashioned way by blowing his brain out of his fucking skull. Luckily he's a hell of a shot, so this should be easy though, right?
Oh my goodness, yeah. We literally get a sunset as Logan picks up his girlfriend and walks towards the plane, which is going to get them to freedom. From behind, he gets shot in the back by Stryker in this adamantium bullet. What a goddamn shot, of course. It's funny, too, because we get a kind of camera angle.
That's sarcasm. If anyone
real bad.
This,
We get a camera angle of a gun shaking, like not steady at all, and then sniped in the back with this goddamn gun. And then Wolverine
tags him in the shoulder once or twice.
Yeah,
as
Wolverine puts
charges
down
him,
his girlfriend and charges him. He's like, fuck this, I'm taking you out once and for all. Well, he gets shot in the head once, but he still keeps going until he gets point blank with that gun full of adamantium bullets, and that one fires right into his temporal lobe, erasing his functions and his memory, apparently. We know Wolverine's not dead. No. But he is laying on the ground, ready to go. I think Stryker even drops a bullet in his head while he's on the ground. Like he puts another one in there just for effect. He then walks towards the dying woman, the
whatever her name is,
Kyla character. And he is about to put a bullet in her brain to finish her off when she grabs his ankle.
Yeah, and this is where I realized that she was in fact a mutant. This is one of a couple of decently interesting scenes we get as we close this thing out. She uses her dying breath and her mutant power to hypnotize Stryker into walking away, which he does. I think she tells him to walk until his feet bleed, then walk some more. And then we cut to the escaped mutants, who are greeted by a familiar face-ish. It's Patrick Stewart in a Professor X cameo, only they're either using primitive de-aging technology or a shit ton of makeup to make him look younger, and the results are really creepy.
So I actually, in my notes, wondered whether it was Patrick Stewart. I thought they CG'd this because it didn't look like him.
His face looks plastic.
It's so bad.
Yeah.
It's so bad.
Honestly, his face, when they made a fake head of his that blew up in Life Force, remember Life Force?
Yes.
That looked more realistic than this.
Yeah,
I don't know why.
Really bad. I mean, excited to see Professor X, of course. He was leading the mutants through the facility, through Cyclops. He was giving him advice about where to go in his brain, and that's part.
What?
Yeah, he was telling him directions through when they were escaping.
How did you really?
Yes.
Okay, I didn't get that either. Fuck, man, you were really dialed in on
they're
this.
running through the bottom of this facility. They have nowhere where to go, and then he's telling him, go left. Go right.
We don't hear that though.
Yes,
do you?
we do.
Come on.
Well, yeah, because they're like, you can't see, you're blind, and he's like, trust me, I know. And because
but I don't remember hearing the Patrick Stewart voice.
Well, no, we don't hear his voice.
Well, that's what I mean.
No. But he is hearing voices in his head telling them.
How do you know that?
He tells them.
I don't know.
It's clearly in
right.
here. Xavier gets them out of the facility, and they go on to then hopefully go to the school and learn to become X-Men, which is the awesome part of this whole thing. Logan, though, our Wolverine character, is still laying on the ground there, unconscious, and starts to come to. Who's there when he wakes up?
Gambit.
Yes.
Yeah, he regains consciousness but has indeed lost his memory. We confirm this in a moment when he finds his lady's body and doesn't register the emotional weight that one would expect in that moment. But he's alive at least, and tells Gambit that he'll make his own way from here. Also making his own way in a quick mid-credit scene, Colonel Stryker, who'll be making his own way to jail. But that's not the only scene we get in the credits, as believe it or not, Deadpool's fucking hand crawls out of the wreckage of the base and finds the severed head, which now contains a functional mouth. His eyes open suddenly, and he stares directly into the camera before shhing us. Apparently, this is only included in the home video release, and I'll say no thank you. I am not interested in around with this fucking abomination.
I actually didn't even see that.
You didn't go to the very end of the credits?
I didn't go to the very end. I quit it after the Stryker was arrested, so I didn't see the end of that Deadpool.
They're going to bring him back, I guess.
Well, the good news for the Deadpool series is I have heard that the movies that were made after this
You need to go watch
better.
those right now. I'm so angry that you haven't seen those, although
it's probably better I saw this first.
That's why I'm worried. I'm worried that your rating for this will not be appropriately harsh because you haven't seen how good the actual Deadpool movies is.
That's fair. I appreciate that. I know they're movies that I should have seen at this point. Just like so many other movies. I don't
not very politically correct. So
we
perhaps might not be up your alley. Yeah, if you're just joining us for the first time. What was that? Bleeding heart, East Coast liberal elite. Anyway, here we are at the end.
I like everyone having an opportunity in life. That's true. Yeah.
Here we are at the end. We're finally reached the finish line of this thing, and this seems like a fine time to transition to our ratings. The way we always do this, we rate the movie on a scale of 1 to 10 two times. 1 to 10 for how bad it is, 1 to 10 for how enjoyable, and the goal is to find movies that are a 10 out of 10 on both scales, or what we call the Crit 20. And I want to give this a 10 so badly because it's a complete bastardization of so many things from the comics, but there's a couple of things giving me pause here. First, I feel like I've gotten a little too liberal myself with handing out the 10 bad lately. It's already happened a few times this season. I might need to kind of pump the brakes a little bit.
We don't want you to get that liberal either. That's just not who you are.
There is also the fact, and I can already feel producer John getting mad at me, that there is a decently high level of production value here. Don't get me wrong, some of the CG is quite bad, and I have major objections to a few of the decisions made by the screenwriters and director, but this is no piece of shit B movie. It's a piece of shit A movie, but it's, there's still production value here. I will also say that Hugh Jackman, as always, does a great job as Wolverine. It is an iconic portrayal, although perhaps not in this particular movie. I also thought Liev Schreiber was good as like Victor / Sabretooth.
Yep.
And as I'll mention in my enjoyable rating, I did actually get something out of this as like an X-Men fan / viewer. So I'm only going to give this a 9 for how bad this is. What do you think?
Okay. All right. We are not going to be too far off on our ratings here for the bad score. I was absolutely angry at the effects of his claws, particularly in that bathroom scene. Just fucking atrocious. They could have spent like 30 more minutes and they would have had something much more realistic and less ridiculous. The lack of good practical effects, mostly CG visuals, really upset me. I did not like the comedy insertions. I know most of the Marvel action films have a balance of like action and comedy.
This was not balanced.
This was not balanced, and they weren't done very well. The explosion sucked. I hated that one behind him. The magic adamantium bullet, which erased his
memory.
Yeah, like so that choice in plot was annoying. Execution in the fights was poor. Like it felt like a 2000s action movie, and it felt like it used too much CG slow time.
Yeah,
a lot
there
of
are
the
some
camera
familiar
angles.
beats.
I felt like the music and the sound effects were like really repetitive.
The music
and,
in the credits just screams fucking 2000s. Yeah.
So I had this also as a 9 bad.
Okay, all right. But how enjoyable did you find this on a scale of 1 to 10?
So it's still Wolverine. And I still love the X-Men. The Gambit connection, I quite enjoyed. My third favorite character, Cyclops, was in there. I did feel like Hugh Jackman and the person who played Sabretooth,
Liev Schreiber,
was quite good. He does a good job in that role. I did feel like it moved quickly. I wasn't bored or lost in it. I had it as a 7 enjoyable.
Wow.
Which is probably too high.
Good
I actually want to retract one. I think it's a 6 enjoyable.
That's still too high.
It was my first time. Would I ever watch it again?
This is going to factor into my rating.
Would I ever watch it again? No. I would much rather watch the Deadpools or the other X-Men movies, but it still was fast enough for me. It still had enough Wolverine and Gambit and other things that are fun. Could it have gotten a couple extra points without Will.I.am? Yes. Could have gotten more points with some better origin stories and a little bit less convoluted ending there, sure. But it's a 6. 6 enjoyable.
Man, you know what? I thought I was becoming too liberal with the 10 bad. You're too liberal with your enjoyable ratings. You enjoy these things. I guess it's good that you enjoy watching these shit movies so much.
I enjoy watching movies, and this is...
I do too, but there's a line, man. I don't know. I hated so much about this. Like the Deadpool thing alone is enough to put this well on the unenjoyable side for me. And then there is the very convoluted story, the presence of Will.I.am, like you mentioned. It's real bad, man. The only thing I will say, though, is having never seen this before, it did hold my attention, which is kind of what you were saying. Like, as a curiosity, it kept me invested, and there were a few cool moments, even if every so often I was rolling my eyes or groaning or just shouting, come on! So I'm going to give my number here with a big caveat.
Yeah.
I have this as a 4 enjoyable.
Okay.
But I am sure that if I watch this again, it would be lower.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, I feel like once you've seen it all and your curiosity is satisfied, like, I think that I would just like plummet on subsequent
But
viewings.
on a scale, like a rating or scale or comparison to Batman and Robin, this is better than that.
Yeah, it is.
Like, as an enjoyable movie.
I enjoyed this more than I
was
enjoyed it.
less
Also more than
angry
I
at
enjoyed
that
the Colin
movie.
Farrell Total Recall.
Oh, well.
I know.
You're being a little
it's a favorite
harsh
for
here.
years.
Yeah.
People can go back and listen to that episode if they want to hear you fucking Colin Farrell for an hour. The Gambit stuff, kind of cool, even though his accent fucking blew. And there were enough kind of moments here. And like we said, the thing where like characters show up and you're like, oh, it's this person. And there is some enjoyment out of that for me. And just the fucking thing with the explosion in the helicopter. Like that alone got like at least 2 enjoyable points because that was so fucking silly. So no, this is a big piece of shit. A very fitting movie, I feel, for 150th episode. How about this beer, though? You think it was a very fitting beer for us to enjoy today, or what?
I mean, yeah, I think part of what we do with the beers on this podcast is not just connect them to a movie, is we push our respective beer tastes. We try to push where we're going.
Fuck, dude.
Well, no, it's everything. It's we push
You would
each other.
never buy a beer like this if it wasn't for this podcast. Tell the truth.
Well, that's, it's true. I probably wouldn't have tried this without it. I did not hate it. I was worried going in that I thought that an 8% ale would be terrible.
This is a beer for the common man.
I had no problem crushing this. It did not taste like an 8%er. It was malty. But I actually got through this probably halfway through recording and would have happily tried another Wolverine, or maybe went after their Weasel beer. I think
Sneaky Weasel?
The Sneaky Weasel would have... It's a much lower, I think, more accessible beer. Maybe if we tried that one. I don't know if this one is just like a pumped up Weasel and it's like a bit stronger or what, but I was happy to drink this, and I'd like to try the other one. Balderdash seems like they're having fun with what they do.
You're a sneaky weasel giving this positive review here. This is not your style of beer at all, man. I will echo a lot of things you said, except I could definitely taste the 8% part of this.
I wasn't saying I couldn't taste it. I just said it was smoother and easier to drink than I expected.
They do claim it is surprisingly smooth. This to me tastes like either like an amped up version of an ordinary 5% lager or a toned down version of, like I said at the beginning, like Colt 45.
Yeah.
It's like I get a little hint of that sort of almost like appley kind of like cider vibe you get in a malt liquor.
Yes.
But it is not as bitter or difficult to drink as like those like 12, 13% malt beverages are. But no, this is just this is a good old fashioned strong beer. Like I said, it's a beer for the common man, which is why, despite what he's saying, I know that Noel did not enjoy this. I don't know why he's trying to babyface everyone here. This is not his style of beer.
Wow.
This is
I can't believe you're speaking for me. What a thing for such a right winger to do is put
seems
words
like
in
something
the mouth
I would do at this point.
Yeah,
150 episodes. Are you surprised? No, this is if you are a fan of a beer like, I don't know, like James Reddy.
Yeah. This
is a beer that I would have readily and gleefully consumed in my early 20s.
Yes.
And now as like a 3-year-old, it's, I wouldn't necessarily drink a ton of these like in a row.
I mean,
but
if you
I can appreciate it for what it is.
If you need to be responsible for the next 12 hours, you shouldn't drink a ton of these.
Yeah.
But if you're willing to just start a party, this is a place to start. And I think that's what the people at Balderdash Brewing would like. They want the party started using their beers, and this is a good place to go.
Well, there you go, man. I'll tell you what, we're going to be starting the party a couple weeks from now because we're going to be watching a movie 2 weeks from now that has been on our list since the very beginning, before we even started this podcast. Ooh. I finally found a beer we can pair this up with, and it's so fitting because 2 weeks from now is going to be American Thanksgiving. Yeah. Listen, don't say anything. I know our countries are kind of not getting along or haven't been getting along, and you feel very strongly about this. I'm going to try and bring us all back together with this episode in 2 weeks' time when we watch a little movie called Thanksgilling.
Oh, shit. I can only assume this is about a killer turkey.
That's right. It's a low-budget movie. It is a notoriously bad movie. But yes, a like homicidal turkey is murdering, I think dim-witted is fair to say, dim-witted people in like the American South or Midwest or something. I don't know.
This sounds very entertaining. You know how I generally have favorable enjoyment scores for the kind of schlocky horror stuff that we watch.
This is going to be a schlocky horror.
Yeah, and I'm excited for that for sure.
There you go. So we'll all enjoy that regardless of which side of the
Thanksgiving divide we're on.
Political aisle or all of it. This is going to be an episode for everybody.
You know what? More Thanksgivings the better in my mind.
We've got a lot to be thankful for. 150 episodes.
Yes. Thank you so much for everyone tuning in to however many you've listened to.
Yeah.
We wouldn't be doing it every week if there was no one listening. So I do really appreciate that. Those of you who are tuning in.
I also appreciate it. I don't know what you said I there. We both appreciate it.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
We love you guys, and we really appreciate you. And if you have a chance to follow us on social media, if you haven't already, at the BNB Podcast on Twitter and Instagram.
Send us emails for suggestions for movies, for comments about the things we're doing. If you have a sponsorship deal, thebmbpodcast@gmail.com.
For dollars. No, and you know what? Listen, honestly, if you want to throw us a rating or a review wherever you find your podcast, help spread the good word. That's awesome too. 5 stars if you think we deserve it, or 2 stars if you don't like our inappropriate comments. This guy talking about Hugh Jackman fucking wetting ladies' panties.
Thanks, Mom.
Episode 1.
She's always giving us 2
Is she the
stars.
lady who Hugh Jackman is?
No. She's the one who keeps giving us 2 stars.
Right,
for
that was
explicit
Sting.
wording.
My mistake.
Yeah,
Sting
yeah.
was the one from Dune.
That's your mom.
Anyway, we thank you for joining us today for X-Men Origins Wolverine. We hope to see you back here in 2 weeks' time for Thanks Killing. Until then, I'm Cooper.
And I'm Nolan.
We'll see you next time on Bad Movies and Beer.
Keep clawing your way to the top.
Witness the origin.